Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Did you have to go get me more sage?
Well, I had to because we're hearing there's a shortage of sage.
So I guess if you hear there's a shortage, you have to hoard it?
If there's a shortage, hoard it.
Well, for some reason we just have a bumper crop of sage this year.
Yes.
So might as well cut it and bundle it.
Just remember, before you go take a shower, to take it down off the curtain rod because you can't push the curtain back with all the sage right there.
Yeah. So with the 21 bundles he just did this morning, we have a bunch of bundles hanging on the shower curtain rod drying. Probably about as many as that top row there.
At least,
so.
and we still have a bag full that we cut yesterday that we haven't cleaned and bundled up yet.
So if anybody needs sage, you know who to contact.
Yes. We have a couple of quick thank yous to get out. Conrad, absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Imagine. Say what you want about the man and his political views or his religious views, but that song, Imagine, I think will resonate in every ex-Jehovah's Witness heart. Imagine a world without religion. Just imagine a brotherhood of man. Nothing to kill or die for, such as a bullshit blood policy that the Watchtower and Babelcrap Society projects. Just imagine, friends. Say what you want, but this man's an icon. He truly, truly is.
And a musician genius.
Yes.
So thank you, Conrad, very
Thank you so much.
Beautiful artwork. Beautiful artwork. We'll have to get that matted and framed.
Yes, we will. And it's gonna stay in a place of honor because that's where it belongs.
Yes. And we also want to thank the two sisters in the UK who said they were just going to send a booklet and some postcards from the Watchtower gift shop.
Yeah.
And they sent this big, huge box, and it was full of chocolate.
Yeah. Are you guys after my heart or something? Because that's one way to do it.
Yes. And thank you so much, everybody else who has sent us, gifts and support and cards, and we just appreciate the love so much and the support.
And guess what I noticed yesterday?
What was that?
Our YouTube channel hit 29,800, so we're upwards of 30,000 subscribers.
30,000! Wow.
That's
good. I haven't looked at the numbers lately.
As obnoxious and, the way I present, the truth about the truth, you would think it's a huge turnoff, but the channel just keeps growing. I wonder why.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. So are you ready for some more truth and obnoxious opinions of some stuff that is going on?
I'm ready for it, because while I was out cutting sage, I was formulating in my mind what I'm going to say.
Yes. Now, before I get into, this right here, and I want to thank Joe Schmo and Atlantis so much for this information, and it got us to thinking, and like I said, he was thinking about it when he was cutting sage this morning, and we had talked about it this morning while we were drinking coffee, and how direction to take on this. First, I want to mention that we've mentioned it in a video before. The United States Postal Service is so bogged down. Okay, now try to imagine everybody's stuck at home. They're ordering from Amazon and eBay and all these other stores trying to get stuff they need. I have been ordering stuff every week. Now, just to show you what kind of delay and how clogged up the United States Postal Service is, I ordered something on Amazon 3 weeks ago, and I'm still waiting for it. Usually Amazon gets stuff out, like within a few days. And then I get it within a week.
Well, just like Watchtower. When you going to get it? Soon. Jehovah's Witnesses, we all ordered the new system of things prior to 1975, and we still don't have that yet.
So imagine everybody ordering online here in the United States, millions and millions of people. Now our mailman said that sometimes he has so many packages, and he has, I forget what kind of car he has. It's like a small SUV. But sometimes he has to stop mid-delivery on his route and go back to the post office to get more packages.
Now remember, we did a video a couple weeks ago about how our local post office is getting inundated by letters from Jehovah's Witnesses trying to reach, dear occupant.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I did a video right after that one with an article in the newspaper where all the Jehovah's Witnesses in this one town were going to the phone book and getting public names and addresses and phone numbers, contacting people to preach at them.
Against Watchtower's direction. Remember, Watchtower said only contact those you know.
Those that you personally know. Okay, so you've got all of this going on, clogging up the mail system, okay? Here in the United States, they have a census going on, the 2020 census. They send you a form, which is millions of forms being sent out. You fill them out and send them back. Millions and millions more pieces of mail going through the mail system, okay? Now, on top of that, people are having to do paperwork to get like their unemployment and their food stamps and all this kind of help because of the COVID pandemic. Yeah, you can do some of it online, but a lot of it you need to have copies of like your tax returns and paychecks. All that's going through the mail. Okay, I know this is getting redundant.
Very redundant.
Okay, now on top of all this, they're asking everybody to vote with mail-in ballots for the November election. Okay, now they're having a tremendous amount of people signing up, registering to vote this year. So you've got more millions of pieces of mail. Now think about that mail.
Think about the volume.
The volume of that mail that is going through our mail system. It's kind of dumb to have the census in the same year as an election, especially when they're asking everybody to do mail-in ballots for the voting this year. Okay, now picture all of that. The mail-in ballots should be in by November 3rd. There's a reason I'm going through all of this. So imagine our surprise when we got the September elders letters and announcements to the congregation and this letter.
So guess what? Jehovah is going to play his part in clogging up the mail system too.
Yeah, for November. Now, look at the date on this letter. November 3rd.
That's election day, you monkeys morons.
So for November, the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to have a special campaign. Now I'm going to read this right from the elders letter. This is for the congregation service committees. Worldwide campaign in November 2020. A sample letter dated November 3rd for use in distributing the Watchtower number 2 2020 to local government officials has been posted on jw.org. You got it. They're going to be sending this letter to all of their local government officials. So let me remind you guys, explain this. The local government officials, as many of them as can, work at home. Now they're also having difficulties because not everybody can work in the office because of the social distancing.
Right.
So they're at half staff or more, which means that they're clogged up and can't handle all of this. I mean, some of the government agencies I've had to contact in the past 6 months, it's hard to get through, and you get an answering machine that says, well, when we have a person available to return your call, we will return your call when we can. Ay, ay, ay. and now Watchtower wants to add to all of this? I mean, it's just mind-boggling of how stupid.
Well, that's what it is. It's the stupidity that's being reflected here. Because what do they say? Publishers, and this is highlighted in yellow, publishers should not send the magazine to officials who are actively opposing our activities.
I highlighted that.
Well, thank you. Here's the thing, Watchtower. This really reflects your stupidity. Because how is the average Jehovah's Witness supposed to know which government officials are actively opposing your activities? What, is there a website available now that, my mother, her mother can go to and say, which government officials are actively, opposing Jehovah's Witnesses?
Is there a list?
This is as stupid as you Jehovah's Witnesses, you monkey idiots at the helm, saying you must reject apostate-driven lies, but yet you don't tell anybody what those lies are. This is just as stupid. Just as stupid, Jehovah's Witnesses.
Now think about it. Jehovah's Witnesses are told not to read or watch any negative media reports about their organization. So how do they know who are the officials who are actively opposing their activities? We just mentioned in a video the other day about this Minister Decker in the Netherlands, who is openly opposing Jehovah's Witnesses in Watchtower and trying to get legislation changed to where they can't find all these loopholes on their abuse policies.
Okay.
So the average Jehovah's Witness, how do they know if they don't see Minister Decker's article
right.
or his tweet? If they can't go see that he is being openly or actively opposing their activities, how is the Jehovah's Witness going to know who is doing this or not? I mean,
well, just think about how much this is going to piss that guy off now, getting flooded with letters from Jehovah's Witnesses, in this dumbass magazine talking about, a new world and
Jehovah's Kingdom.
Yeah, Jehovah's Kingdom. Hey, government officials, you have to realize, even though this magazine might put you in a good light or, try to pull at your heartstrings to come to Jehovah's Kingdom, Jehovah's way of rule, I've got hundreds upon hundreds of other magazine articles telling you government officials, if you don't comply, you're going to die. It's as simple as that.
Well, I was going to say, does this article, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, but does this magazine tell these government officials, comply or Jehovah's going to destroy you at Armageddon?
Look, this is how ridiculous these men are and how the monkeys in the cage can see the roof is open, but they're afraid to leave. Think about this, honey. Remember when you and I were active and the whole push of Watchtower was to do what? Go and do your business territory. Work the business territory. We all remember that campaign. Work the businesses. How effective was that really in working the businesses? 99 out of 100 times that little magazine got shit canned because the businesses don't have time for this religious nonsense.
Most of the time they just held up a hand and said, I don't have time to talk to you right now, I'm not interested.
That was a failed campaign. This is going to fail also because all anybody in that government office has to do is turn the Watchtower magazine. Oh, look, I get a jw.org to go. And when they type in jw.org, guess what else is going to come up? That's right. This is how stupid these men are, pretending they're not inspired. Pretending they are inspired. No, wait a minute. Do you trust the faithful? What the hell is it, Watchtower? God. The stupidity of these men it's beyond compare.
Yeah. So I just want to mention a few things here in Joe's email. He says, I'm sure you're aware of the coming November JW campaign. Yes, thank you very much. Attached is a copy of the letter template they are using. Notice the date, November 3rd, Election Day. You think Watchtower is trying to jam up the Postal Service to affect the mail-in vote for the election? That's what we thought of, too.
First thing we thought, really?
Yeah.
November 3rd? This is how idiotic these men think.
Yeah. Or cause the U.S. government at a minimum to get irritated like Russia did a few years ago. Then when the child sexual abuse lawsuits continue in Pennsylvania in 2021, it's just Satan responding as fake attacks to their hard-hitting November campaign. They are up to something.
Yeah.
We totally agree.
Totally agree.
Now, right underneath where I highlighted in the elders' announcements here, the next sentence, it says, as a reminder, a personal letterhead rather than the congregation letterhead should be used. So don't use any affiliation or connection with the congregation. You put your own contact information. Now, Mikey, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't years and years ago, weren't they warning people about their personal contact information? Because if the Great Tribulation hits and the government wants to round up all the witnesses, you wouldn't want them to have your name and contact information readily available. And the servant overseers were even warned to protect those congregation files and publisher cards.
Well, that brings up the whole argument. If Armageddon is just around the corner, then why would you give any government official your name and address and where you live? Do you Jehovah's Witnesses not see? You're being dragged right down into the bottom of that cage again.
So instead of the Jehovah's Witnesses, remember the bunker video when they're down in the basement? Okay, so you hear...
in the bunker. You're right.
You hear the officers, the military, the team, whatever they are upstairs. Are there any Jehovah's Witnesses in here? Well, of course, because they already have your address.
You guys are giving them your... You know, I'm just at a loss for words at the absolute stupidity. I want to compare that stupidity to the stupidity of our local wingnut governor, Mrs. Dumbass herself. Oh, excuse me,
Governor Dumbass.
Governor Dumbass. Okay, this is a year when the census is being taken, like you mentioned, right? Now, think this through. Rationalize this. You're taking that census is going to make or allow the federal government to allocate money to your state for the next coming 10 years.
Well, I've got numbers right here. Would you like to hear?
Please do.
So I got an email from Governor Dumbass this morning encouraging all of us to take the 2020 census today. When you complete your 2020 census, you bring our tax dollars back to where they need to be, right here in New Mexico. In fact, for every person counted, New Mexico receives over $3,700 per year for the next 10 years. Every penny of that is money that our state is owed by the federal government, but if we only get counted. So they get $3,700 per person per year.
Now guess what we're hearing, Governor Dumbass? We're hearing because you're closing businesses.
See, they're still not open yet.
They're still not opening, and even the restaurants are opening up at, like a 20%, 30% capacity. Whatever the hell this woman thinks is a safe number. We're hearing from those businesses that you're shutting down, they're not taking the census. Why? Because you're hurting their business, and now they're going to hurt this state. This is how stupid these politicians are. Take the census because we're going to get $3,700 per person for the next 10 years. Oh, by the way, we're going to shut your business down. You don't get it, do you?
Well, look at, I mean, and it isn't just New Mexico.
No, it's
I
not.
talked to many people all over this country. And, even some from, other states, at least a couple have told me, I'm not taking the census this time because our state is still pretty much on lockdown and shut down. So why should I help the government out?
You see, the people can have a voice. And this is maybe their outreach. Maybe this is how they're sending their voice through. They're saying, to hell with the census. Because see, here's the thing that nobody stops and thinks about when it comes to these governing idiots. And I'm not talking about Watchtower. I'm talking about our wingnut governor dumbass here. This is what they don't see. The statistics show on a federal level, Trump is increasing federal jobs. The governors of your states cannot have an effect on the growth of federal jobs, but they sure as hell can affect the private businessman. And it's the private industry that these dumbass governors are hurting. It's these private businesses that are giving the middle fingers by not taking the census, which in the future is going to hurt whoever becomes governor next. It isn't about you, Grisham. It's about the next 10 years worth of governors that you're hurting. They just don't think because they're just as stupid as the governing idiots in Warwick.
Well, they think everybody is a sheeple and gonna comply.
Yeah, the hell with complying.
Okay, so getting back on track here for our video. I'm sorry, I do not know what happened to the post-it note of who sent me this article, so thank you very much. This is from Ghana, and it's an article. And I'm going to put the link down below to this article. I'm going to read this real quick. The Ashanti Regional Campaign Team of the National Democratic Congress has adopted the Jehovah's Witness campaign strategy in their operations to win votes for John Dramani Mahama and his running mate come elections 2020. According to Mr. Augustus Nana Akawas Andrews, the regional chairman of the NDC, the new strategy is going to make sure that the responsibility is shared among all members of the party in the region to ease the stress on few people who have always led their campaign. Former President John Dramani Mahama, on his visit to the Asantehen, in the region, tasked us to carry out our campaign like how the Jehovah's Witness people do, by going from house to house to spread the gospel. As I speak with you, we have launched all our campaign teams in the various constituencies. Forming campaign teams at the grassroots level has made our members very responsible and reduced the workload on us. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? They're following Jehovah's Witnesses' strategy for doing campaigns.
Well, see, you and I over the years, from time to time, we have a Christian minister come to our door. You only ever see him once. But when it comes to the Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll see them over and over and over and over again. No matter how many times you tell them no, you're going to see them again. Why? Because Watchtower's strategy is this. If you don't preach, you're going to die at Armageddon. Because see, Jehovah's going to ask that blood back at your hand. It's a huge fear control mechanism. Look, Jehovah's Witnesses, there is no roof on that cage. You can climb out at any time you want.
Okay. Now, a couple other things we wanted to mention. I wanted to mention ex-JW Elder's wife, Jane Doe, did a video about Bethel and the meaning and the word of Bethel, and even right from the Bible itself what Bethel means.
That's right.
So, I recommend watching that. I'm going to put a link down below because all of the Watchtower headquarters are called Bethels. It does not mean the house of God.
It's the house of El.
The house of El. But go listen to her video of what was going on at these Bethels. So why would any religious organization, and Jehovah's Witnesses aren't the only ones.
That's right.
Many religious organizations, they'll say like the thrift store I go to all the time
Right.
is the Bethel house. And I told them, I says, do you know what Bethel means? And they said, a house of God. And I explained to them what it means. And they were horrified.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even food pantries and thrift stores who are affiliated with a religious organization use the name Bethel. So I recommend going watching her video to see. And so why any religious organization would want to use this name is shocking, is beyond me.
Well, since we're giving a shout out to XJ Elder's wife Jane Doe on that channel, as I mentioned before, she and I, we communicate a lot. We talk a lot about the Bible. And before I had actually uploaded my video regarding the female anatomy and the obvious problem that creates in the Bible, she had already done a video quoting some scriptures, reading some scriptures in the gospel coming out of the words of Jesus. And in these set of scriptures, at the time I heard her read these scriptures, I thought to myself, I wish I'd have known that before I did my video, because that really exemplifies the point that I'm getting at with all of this. And those set of scriptures has to do with Jesus recognizing that some men are born eunuchs. In other words, they're born sterile, and some men are made sterile. So if that Jesus has the knowledge that some men are born sterile, then why didn't he stop his father from putting laws through the pen of Moses, stopping the murder of young girls that were born without proper parts? Why didn't Jesus stop his father from doing that if he's got such intimate knowledge about the male anatomy? So thank you, Jane Doe, for that.
Now, think about that word Bethel and how Watchtower calls all their headquarters Bethel. Okay? So keep in mind that word Bethel and how it's not a good thing. It's not
a good thing.
Yeah. Now, oh man, it's probably been at least a month now. We did a video and we mentioned that we had come across this document in the UK Charities Commission under Watchtower's, underneath their registration. There was a document there about Uganda and how Watchtower was no longer going to be doing business in Uganda. And a viewer, thank you very much, sent me a court document that they came across, and it's the Uganda Revenue Authority. And I'm going to put the link down below to this too, because it's the International Bible Students Association, the plaintiff, versus the Uganda Revenue Authority. And it's 10 pages long, but apparently there was a lawsuit, and Watchtower, as usual, was appealing it because they were trying to say that these working at Bethel were employees. And Watchtower is saying, no, they're not. So this appeal was going on. Just going to read part of this. The plaintiff is a legal entity used by Jehovah's Witnesses to accomplish its religious activities in Uganda and is the legal structure for Jehovah's Witnesses in Uganda, and that's the International Bible Students. The structure of the plaintiff is premised on spiritual direction being provided by an ecclesiastical governing body, the Worldwide Order of Special Full-Time Servants of Jehovah's Witnesses. Some of you may not have known that's another
entity,
organization, entity of Watchtower.
And we've actually done a video on this in the past, but it's good to, call to mind for those that are just waking up that there is another religious order.
Yeah, and Mark and Cora Latham even did a video about this too, because that just goes right along with these documents that I was sent. Okay, hereinafter referred to as the Order. Boy, if that doesn't sound like a secret society.
Mm-hmm.
An unincorporated international association of religious ministers who have made a vow of obedience and poverty, and a commitment to serve in a special full-time capacity. Now this is interesting, this next part. The Order routinely provides the plaintiff with members of the Order to assist the plaintiff in accomplishing the religious activities of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Uganda. These members receive food, shelter, and modest support from the plaintiff to cater for personal necessities in the course of carrying out the plaintiff's charitable and religious activities in Uganda.
Charitable activities.
Yeah.
That's an oxymoron.
Yeah. The support provided to each of these members is the Uganda shilling, 170,000 per month, and 576,000 per year. Now I went to Google, I Googled it, and did a conversion from Uganda shilling to the US dollars. That is approximately $46.12 per month. That's not much money of an allowance.
No.
You know, and
How do you put that away for your retirement fund? I don't know if Uganda has a social security system or not, but how does that help? Now you can see why some of these countries are forcing the issue when it comes to these Bethelites getting paid a wage. Not an allowance, a wage.
yeah, well, that's what, this whole case was about. I'm going to read page 2 here. The defendant is the Uganda Revenue Authority, a statutory body established under the Uganda Revenue Authorities Act, Cap 196. It is principally charged with the collection of taxes in Uganda. Income taxes. In January 2008, the defendant made an internal ruling that the monetary support given to members of the Order in Uganda for personal expenses is taxable as employment income, specifically under pay-as-you-earn income tax, because it believes that members of the Order are employees within the meaning of the Income Tax Act. The plaintiff was dissatisfied with the above internal ruling, and the parties agreed to refer the matter to court for a declaration, hence the present suit.
Oh, I'll bet when Watchtower wrote a letter in rebuttal, they're using the same words they're using in Australia. Well, that doesn't apply to us.
You got it.
That doesn't apply to us. It doesn't matter, Watchtower, whether you think it applies or not, but the tax man thinks it applies.
See? The plaintiff seeks a declaration that members of the Order who serve in Uganda are not employees of the plaintiff for purposes of the Income Tax Act, and therefore are not liable to pay the pay-as-you-earn income tax, and that consequently the plaintiff is not under obligation to deduct any such tax from the support provided to the said members of the Order.
So we can assume that Watchtower lost since they're no longer doing business in Uganda.
We can only assume.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
Now,
So I wonder if the Uganda branch is going to be going up for sale soon.
That's right. Well, that brings up a good question. You saw what the conversion figure was, $46.12 a month. And they take taxes out of that. I don't know what the tax rate is, but I mean, even if they took 20% out of that for taxes, it doesn't leave that poor schmuck that took that vow of poverty and obedience, the vow of obedience. I wonder if there's some supposedly ex-Jehovah's Witnesses in this community demanding we take down videos, demanding that we take down certain websites that have information, if that guy didn't take that vow of obedience.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Wake up, some of you friends.
All right, so look at what I got. We have the best viewers ever.
Yes, we do.
Worldwide Order of Special Full-Time Servants of Jehovah's Witnesses. As an ordained minister, wholly dedicated to Jehovah God, I hereby express my solemn desire to be recognized as a member of the worldwide order of special full-time servants of Jehovah's Witnesses, the Order. I vow as follow. While a member of the Order, to live the simple, non-materialistic lifestyle that has traditionally existed for members of the Order. In the spirit of the inspired words of the prophet Isaiah and the prophetic expression of the psalmist, to volunteer my services to do whatever is assigned to me in the advancement of kingdom interests wherever I am assigned by the Order. To be submissive to the theocratic arrangement for members of the Order. To devote my best full-time efforts to my assignment. To abstain from secular employment without permission from the Order.
Secular employment. To abstain from secular employment.
Well, I'm thinking of Let did the interview on the video on the YouTube channel Blue Envelope, and he talks about him and his family being involved in real estate. So, didn't he have to take this vow of obedience and poverty too? How is that not being involved in secular activities? And I know of many who are in this order and who are still trying to run businesses on the side. Wow. To turn over to the local organization of the Order all income received from any work or personal efforts in excess of my necessary living expenses unless released from this vow by the Order. So hand over all your assets. Oy vey. Number 7, to accept such provisions for members of the Order, be they meals, lodging, expense reimbursements, or others, as are made in the country where I serve, regardless of the level of my responsibility or the value of my services. So does that mean the governing body have to hand over all their bling, you know, their Rolex watches and stuff too? Oh no, they can't. They're still wearing them. Number 8, to be content and satisfied with the modest support that I receive as long as I am privileged to serve in the Order. Should I choose to leave the Order, or should it be determined that I no longer qualify to serve in the Order, I will not expect any remuneration.
You know, as many times as they've used the word the Order, the Order, the Order, you know what I picture? I picture a group of people in a circle with robes and hood and a pentagram on the floor.
I was just going to say that.
That's what I see when I hear the Order, the Order.
Yeah, with the black robe, hooded robes.
Here again, now that we all understand what Bethel means, think about it. The Order. Bethel, the house of El, house of the Canaanite gods.
Yeah. Number 9, to abide by the principles set out in God's inspired word, the Bible, in publications of Jehovah's Witnesses, and in policies dispensed by the Order, and to follow the directions of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, and to accept readily any decision made by the Order regarding my membership status. Now let me ask you guys, in that last one, did you hear anything about Jehovah and Jesus? Obedience to Jehovah and Jesus?
Not one word.
Have you heard anything in here? No. It's all about to the Order. To the Order.
To the men in hooded robes with the pentagram
Yeah.
on the floor.
So your obedience is not to Jehovah God and Jesus. It's to the Order and the governing body. Wow. Now, I happen to have another letter here dated November 1st, 2007, to those leaving Bethel service. The following information is to assist you in handling legal, financial, and employment matters that may come up following your departure from Bethel service and membership in the worldwide order of special full-time servants of Jehovah's Witnesses. Please furnish your new permanent mailing address to all government agencies that send you correspondence. Consulting Services will send you Form 8822 for your use in changing your address with the Internal Revenue Service. Males under 26 years of age are required to notify Selective Service of their change of address within 10 days of the change. At times, those leaving special full-time service have mistakenly applied for unemployment benefits. Since those serving at Bethel are members of a religious order, there is no legal obligation to pay into or participate in an unemployment insurance program. See, and this goes along with what's going on in Uganda.
That's right.
Because Watchtower says they don't have to pay into an unemployment program, workman's comp, or anything like that because they're not employers. So you can see why it's a big battle.
You know, even though you have to meet their qualification to serve at Bethel, even though it's their guidelines, they're not an employer.
Yeah.
See, you just cannot haphazardly walk into a Bethel building and expect to go to work for Jehovah. No, it's not going to happen. So by every legal description of what an employer is, they are an employer.
Yeah. Accordingly, no payments have been made to a fund or insurance program for which such benefits may be drawn. See, they're admitting they don't pay into the government on any of these, benefits. Thus, it would be inappropriate for those departing Bethel service to seek unemployment benefits. So when you leave Bethel, you get a kick in the backside and they tell you, thanks for everything, but don't pick up any food in the, food department because then you'll be billed for it.
So I would like to extend my personal welcome to the screwed generations.
When information is requested regarding your previous occupation, please note the following. While you may have worked at a number of assignments in Bethel, legally speaking, your occupation was that of an unpaid member of a religious order. Because see, the minute you say you worked for them, that makes you an employee. Because they want you to be sure, legally, you say your occupation was an unpaid member of a religious order. A slave.
A slave.
Because the minute you say anything different, that makes you an employee. And then Watchtower's in trouble with the IRS.
Do you see the snare?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When asked to indicate your former occupation and employer, you should list member of the Worldwide Order of Special Full-Time Servants of Jehovah's Witnesses or minister in a religious order. See, they don't want any government knowing
that you worked for free. That you was a slave.
Yeah. You may add explanatory comments concerning the type of work done while at Bethel. However, merely listing the type of work done while at Bethel or characterizing your full-time commitment as that of a volunteer would give the wrong impression of the context in which your services were rendered. Yeah, it makes you sound like a cult slave. Upon request, the Bethel office can provide you a letter of recommendation which contains comments regarding your character, work habits, type of service performed, as well as a brief explanation of the legal status that an individual has as a member of the Worldwide Order. Consulting Services is sending you an income statement. The statement verifies your service at Bethel and explains that you have not received salary, wages, or compensation, and why support that you receive from the Worldwide Order is exempt from taxes. This may be helpful when applying for credit or loans. So, when they send you the statement of compensation, what do they put? Allowance?
Probably.
It doesn't matter. It's still compensation that could possibly be taxed or as an employee.
I think Jehovah's Witnesses ought to stop banding together and get some sort of union formulated to combat the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, technically the order is their labor union.
Oh, man, my bad. My bad, that's right. So I guess the only thing Jehovah's Witnesses can do is just find solace in realizing that you're now part of the screwed generation.
Yep. Yep. Now, before we say goodbye on this September Elders letter, I just happened to notice that at the bottom of this one page, underneath where they're talking about this 2020 November campaign, where you're going to be, where the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be flooding the United States Postal Service with millions of letters with magazines in them. Number 3, it says select well-qualified publishers to send the magazine to local government officials and businesses. The selected publishers should be able to prepare their own personal letters or emails that are professional and dignified in appearance, using the wording in the sample letter as a guide. Please be sure to provide those who are selected with helpful suggestions on giving an effective witness. Number 4. As a reminder, if another congregation will be assisting you in covering your territory, the service committees involved should maintain good communication to avoid unnecessary duplication of efforts, especially in multi-language areas. Translation, and we know elders aren't the best at keeping up with all of their instructions and directions because they're so busy. So what's going to happen is you're going to have all the English congregation sending out all of these letters to their local officials. Then you're going to have the Spanish congregation sending letters to those same local officials. And then you're going to have like Korean and all these other languages sending all these letters to the same officials.
Well, but also look at local government officials and businesses. Wonder how many businesses are still going to be closed, Watchtower. What a wasted effort this is going to be. It's just a exercise in futility. But see, here's the whole thing. You got one monkey that says, if you don't stay in the cage, you're going to die. If you leave the cage, you're going to die. This is the whole mindset of Jehovah's Witnesses. If you don't preach, you're going to die. That's what this is all about. They absolutely refuse to read this book for themselves and realize that, Jesus died for you. You're already, wait, there again, Watchtower sells the whole bullshit. Well, once saved, always saved. That's not true. That's not how it really works. So you better still get out and preach. And the fact that these people can't go from door to door right now is now they have to come up with another means to make these Jehovah's Witnesses see the open roof, but then they still have to preach because now they got to preach to government officials and businesses.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe some activists might be contacting the Postmaster General of the United States and warning him that the Jehovah's Witnesses are about to flood his postal service with millions and millions of letters again.
Well, it's a worldwide campaign.
Yeah.
It's a worldwide campaign.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, so this could be done in any country, contacting, the person in charge of your postal service, warning them.
Give them a heads up. Oh, you know what? Is the financial trouble that the United States Postal Service appears to be in? I'd like to be first to thank you, Jehovah's Witnesses, for help propping up the United States Postal Service, because look at all those millions of stamps that are going to now be purchased.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, Jehovah's Witnesses, don't expect any financial compensation because you ain't part of the order.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like Joe, who sent me, this email said, or is it to get these governments irritated at Jehovah's Witnesses to where they go after them? Bringing persecution on yourself?
Oh, so they could be very well fulfilling Bible scripture. Because it ain't being fulfilled anywhere else on this planet, only in the minds of the Christians that are being persecuted.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, I also want to mention that I was talking to I'm not sure if they're a PMO or they've been disfellowshipped. And they asked an elder about getting reinstated. And the elder told them no more reinstatements or disfellowshippings until after COVID. And I told this person, I says, no, this isn't true, because there was an elder's letter several months ago, at least a couple of months ago, saying that the elders could call the service department and use the Kingdom Hall for judicial hearings.
Right.
So that means that either this elder hasn't read his elder's letters, or he's lying to this person, about being reinstated. So, I mean, Watchtower is just falling apart at the seams. I mean, the stupidity, no organization, and not thinking. Why didn't they wait until after the election and census? Make this campaign for, let's say, January 2021? Because all this other mail, and all of that mess is supposed to be over with by then. So, it just shows, are they doing this on purpose, or are they that stupid?
Well, when you're really worshiping a god of mischief, a Hova, what else would you expect?
At Bethel.
Yeah, you would expect confusion.
Yeah. So, my goodness, and I'm sorry if I have forgotten anybody or forgotten anything. Just so much going on that Kimmy's memory is like Swiss cheese. The kind with holes in it. Stuff just kind of keeps leaking out. And for some reason, my Post-it notes keep disappearing.
Well, it's because the cat keeps walking across the top of the desk.
Yeah, the cat was going crazy one day, and I happened to look, and a bunch of my Post-it notes were stuck to her tail. And it's like, I need those! Give me those back! And then I had to chase the cat down, and she did not like me ripping them off her tail.
Yep.
But at least I got my Post-it notes back.
A few of them. Who knows what ended up underneath the couch.
Yeah, and I noticed there's some here on the floor, too. Cat.
So anyhow, thanks for listening to this rant / whatever the hell you want to call it. I really don't care. It's just that we are living in a world right now that seems to be proliferated with stupidity. People just ain't thinking. All the way up to your governors of your states. You want us to take the census because it brings money to the state, but yet you're closing the businesses, and those business owners are going out of business, and they're saying, why the hell should we comply now? You ruined my business. I'm going to do what I can to not comply. The level of stupidity is just unimaginable.
Well, I'm sure we've all heard about Pelosi's visit to the hair salon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really funny spoof videos out there on this, and I have to agree with the salon owner. Okay, first of all, her security camera system has been up for 5 years. It's on 24/7, so this is not a setup. Pelosi's assistant called them to set up the appointment, and Pelosi's been going to the salon for years. So there's many videos with the interview with the salon owner. This poor woman now I have to mention that Pelosi didn't know that San Francisco, the salons are all still legally shut down. They're on lockdown. They're not supposed to be open. And then she goes and cries, oh, it was a setup. They didn't tell me that they're supposed to be shut down. I mean, good Lord, if you were a salon owner and the third most powerful person in this country calls you up and says, I need a haircut, wouldn't you open up specifically just for them? And would you make them wear a mask if they're not going to want to?
Well, that's no different than our governor dumbass.
Oh, yeah.
A few months ago, calls up a jewelry store. Hey, can you be open so I can send my assistant to buy a piece of jewelry? They all play the same bullshit game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's just because they cannot control the growth of federal jobs, but they can sure destroy the private sector.
Yeah, well, just like your Mountain Man rendezvous, canceled because it would be a large gathering. Well, that was tax money that New Mexico is going to lose out on, because since we're a business in New Mexico, we pay sales tax on that income earned at this Mountain Man rendezvous.
That's right.
So the state of New Mexico missed out on that taxes, because guess what? Now I don't owe them any taxes.
Governor Dumbass.
Yeah. So how many more, businesses that have been shut down and not paying as much in sales tax receipts?
And yet they're going to count on this $3,700 per person for the next 10 years. And a lot of the business owners are saying, screw you, Governor Dumbass. I mean,
he gets so upset.
Talk about piss poor management of money.
Well, why don't you run to be elected for governor of the state? Mikey for governor.
Hey, if I was to start a political campaign, could somebody give me a good slogan? But wait a minute, I'm going to need millions upon millions of dollars.
Well, how about ignorance today is a choice?
Ignorance today is a choice.
There's your campaign slogan.
Since we're going there, we're having a little bit of fun here. We live in a state that, a couple of years ago, social terrorist Small ran her campaign where she was showing herself being a hunter. Now, she's a Democrat. She shows herself being a hunter. Sort of like an avid outdoors person, right? So she gets elected, and yes, as I mentioned, lo and behold, the day after Election Day, when the Republican candidate was declared the winner, oh my God, we found boxes and boxes and boxes of uncounted mail-in ballots. Well, guess what? When they tallied up all those ballots, guess who won? That's right. You got it. Now, a few years later, she's running again against the same opponent. Now, this time, Social Terrorist Small, who has already voted with the Democrats to ban certain guns.
And the red flag law.
And the red flag law, make no mistake about it. Now she's running another ad here locally that says, this is how I like to unwind. And it shows her with a high-powered rifle, bolt action, a high-powered rifle. This is how I like to unwind. Once again, pretending she's a gun enthusiast. But see, it doesn't just stop there. Then it shows her working the action of a shotgun. And then it shows her hitting the bullseye with a revolver. Do you see the bullshit that these politicians play? It's just a stupid little game, just like the Watchtower Babble Crap Society. They all play the game to keep themselves alive, because the ignorant continue to send money to the religious order of Jehovah's Witnesses. The ignorant keep sending their money to these politicians that run ads showing that they favor guns, but yet in Congress they vote against gun rights and they want your rights taken away. The level of stupidity is beyond comprehension.
And unfortunately, we can't choose the ads that they put on our YouTube channel. So there's some political ads that's like, oh, good Lord. I wouldn't support that person,
But I just find it so hypocritical to be running ads showing that you're a Democrat in favor of recreational guns and shooting, and then all of a sudden you're in Congress and you're voting against our rights to own and carry guns.
So on that thought, we will say goodbye and wish all of you a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.